We are back. Um, Happy Friday. I feel like I haven't wished you guys a happy Friday in a while. It is Friday. It is later than we normally record. Um, I had a difference in schedule today. Uh, Change. It was a welcome change. Obviously, well, it's not permanent. It was just something unique about today, and I guess I'll talk about it. Uh, my my middle child, uh, she had a field trip today to the zoo, and I chaperoned, and that was fun. It's interesting. It was interesting to be around a bunch of 5 year olds just running around and in a bus and then in an open area, and it's like it was it was interesting. It was fun. Maybe we'll talk about it for a little, but um, I want us to start now. We always start with an exercise in mindfulness. I feel like there's a lot happening in the world today, um, in our own lives and in our own little world and our own bubble that we've made for ourselves, but in the greater world, in the world outside of our own, life is happening to everybody all at the same time, simultaneously. And I've always believed that in order for you to be able to um, be your best self, especially when you're in a creative mood or creative space and you're looking to design or innovate, you need to be present in the moment. So that's what these exercises are for, to block out the noise, um, center yourself, be mindful, and then hopefully be present. So let's do that. We're going to start off how we always start off. 10 breaths. Focus on your breath. I prefer your eyes closed. Starting now. Now that we're here, just to get our minds going, I'm going to give us a puzzle. That's usually how we start our brain teaser. This one is I can be created in the present, but the future can never change me. What am I? I can be created in the present, but the future can never change me. What am I? Um, Today was fun. It was. Uh, I was more alert than I've ever been. Like on any given Friday, even though I always preach this idea of self-aware, just being aware of everything around me. When I'm dealing with my children or just children in general, I'm more my senses are more heightened. I'm more cautious. I'm more aware. I'm kind of trying to see things a few steps ahead, because in my head there's a responsibility greater than myself, and I have to be ready to anticipate whatever's happening. But I went to the zoo today, and I chaperoned my child's class. I was one of maybe a handful of parents that decided to do that today, and it was fun. It was interesting to kind of see these kids. I want to say in their element and just their playful um, mindset, their playful approach, their playful being in holistically. I think kids are naturally playful. I feel like if you find a kid who is not playful, then there's something wrong in the environment that they're currently in, because it is an innate response and an innate characteristic of a child, and that is to be playful. So there was a lot of playful energy around, and it was interesting because um, I was you're assigned different, like each parent is assigned two or three children. And so I had my daughter and one other child. And as we were walking in the zoo, in between animals, there's a lot of greenery and plants and trees. And as we were walking, my daughter looked up and she was like, "Oh, look, the tree has eyes." And I looked up and I saw the tree, and I knew exactly what she was talking about the moment I saw it. It was a tree, and on I guess the bark of the tree, or the trunk of the tree, they were apparently they cut off a few limbs, and it left knobs that looked like eyes. And it had me smiling because, again, like I said, the moment I saw it, I knew immediately that was the tree that she was talking about. And I smiled because that's what she saw immediately. And her natural instincts made that association. And I've always been fascinated by, I feel like children are the purest form of creativity. I've always been fascinated by that. And I came into to this episode with that theme in mind, and that moment of seeing eyes on the tree made me wonder, how is it, or what can we learn if we look through the eyes of children in order to reconnect with our own creativity? And what about being a child makes them so creative? And why is it that we lose that, or we almost grow out of our creativity, our childlike creativity? And I've said this before, and more than likely I've said it here before, where, and I think this is common knowledge, that human beings are innately creative. We are born with the gift of creativity, and our adulthood, and society forces us to conform to what it believes is normal, and in that we stray away from our creativity, almost like we stray away from our youth. And unless we are actively in pursuit or actively trying to stay connected to our creativity, we ultimately kind of separate from it. We don't lose from it. Maybe it's just placed in the back burner, and it sits there dormant, and it appears every now and then unconsciously. But for the most part, if you are not actively in pursuit of it, if you're actively living inside your creativity, or with your creativity, you can even forget that you even have it. So it got me to thinking that, like, at what age does that transformation happen, right? Because as I look at children, and I've always said children are are Optimus Prime when it comes to creativity. They are the pinnacle of creativity happens in your childhood ages. And I was thinking about this earlier, and it's like, at what age does it peak? And honestly, I think the peak of creativity happens, and there's no scientific proof of this. This is just from my own deduction. I think it's 3 or 4. I think it's at that toddler stage. Because I feel like that by the time they get to the age of 5, they're more conscious of how they are measured amongst their peers. I think they're more aware of, more critical about their own creations. Like, I think about my 5-year-old, and she does this thing where she loves to draw. When she was younger, I couldn't even tell what she was drawing, and in her head, it was the most amazing thing. And if I'm honest, when I saw it, I felt like it was the most amazing work of art. And whatever she scribbled on the paper, it was good enough. And I think the only way I can really tell what it is the colors she chose, right? If it's at the top of the paper and it's yellow, it's a sun. And if it's at the bottom, it's grass. If it's blue, it's water. just almost like context clues, but it formed images in her head. And it was less about it being perfect and more about the feeling she got from creating it. And it had nothing to do with skill, and it had nothing to do with outcome. Whatever showed up on the paper, all it was just insights into what was happening in her head. And whatever she looked at, she didn't see the outcome. She didn't see the finished product. She saw a reflection of what she's seeing in her head. So it's almost like this is a visual representation of what's going on here. And it's, as much as I'm looking at the paper and you're looking at the paper, what I'm looking at is just almost a projection of what I think is happening in my head. And this is all damn near perfect, right? And it's fascinating because at 5 years old, I feel like it changes. Now she spends way too much time erasing her art and trying to get it right. And she'll say, "Daddy, but I want it to be perfect." And I didn't have to convince her of what perfection was before 5 years old. I think everything she created was, in fact, perfect. But at 5, I feel like she was more conscious. And I mean, we battle with this idea of how to teach them, help them to understand that comparison is a thief of joy, but understand there's a natural component of just kind of understanding your uniqueness amongst the people around you in a way that it doesn't feel like there's a comparison happening or any form of competition associated with it. But I'm saying that to say it's for a second today, I had an opportunity to relive what it's like to be creative without any restrictions or limitations. And being around children this young and then seeing how creativity naturally comes to them in the oddest of moments. And I think one of the times if I get out of today and just think about daily life, when do I actually see it most? And I always what's weird is I think the most creative tool that exists today, I feel like the most creative tool that exists today is the Amazon brown box. And the reason I say that is because every time one shows up to my door, it shows up as something else. One day for my children, it's a spaceship. The other day, it's a dollhouse. The next, it's an oven. Some other days, it's a bathtub. And it all depends on the shape of it, the time of the day it arrives, the mood that they're in, or what's missing from in the middle of whatever game they're playing. And I feel like as adults, we need to find our Amazon cardboard box. Like, what is that for us? Like, what is it that exists right now in this world that gives us that same freedom of thought, freedom of creativity, unlimited possibilities that an Amazon cardboard box offers to children? And as that scenario keeps playing out in my head, because I've seen it so many times. One, because I order a lot from Amazon, and then two, because my kids have never found a time where play wasn't relevant or timely. Like, everything revolves around some form of play. And I think parenthood is managing the amount of play you participate in throughout the day. But I think as adults, have lost this idea of just playing without judgment, without repercussions, without expectations. And I guess the most impactful is just the without judgment. I think with judgment comes vulnerability and this idea of like failure and all these things. There's all these things associated with the idea of being judged, right? And it's like, and being measured. And I feel like kids, they don't even care about that. Like, they'll show you a dance move that looks nothing like what it's supposed to look like, and they're so happy when they're doing it. And they'll show it off to anybody because in their heads, again, this goes back to how I was describing when my child sees my younger child or younger children would see the art they created on the paper. They didn't see what we saw. They saw exactly how they envisioned it in their head. It didn't matter their skill level, whether or not they took art classes. I mean, it just almost felt like it was exactly what it needed to be. And then it's the same thing happens when they're showing off their dance moves. When they're doing it, they feel the thing that they're trying to replicate in their head, they're replicating it with precision. Like, you cannot tell them otherwise. And I think that is fascinating, and it is there's a lot we can as adults take from that. I feel like sometimes we forget to just have pure, unadulterated fun. We forget how to be vulnerable, how to not care to be judged, how to embrace the fact that we are lacking of a certain skill, but still doing the thing just because. We are so hell-bent on measuring the outcome of certain things that we can't even enjoy just doing it, just for the sake of doing it. And I think that's a huge part of creativity. It's about getting rid of these mental blocks and this idea of failing, especially in the creative process. It's about not caring the outcome so much, more so just enjoying the experience and the process of going through that. It's about pushing boundaries and understanding that the limits that I see are just those that are I've placed, that society has placed on me. But then there's a psychological component that maybe it was self-inflicted, or it's a barrier that only exists in my head. And sometimes you just got to get out of our own way. And that's one of the things I learned. It's like, kids don't really care, yo. Like, they don't care to be about anything beyond just having fun and just enjoying life. That's why every moment for them, it's always, can we play? Can you play with me? And I don't know that they ever know what they want to play, because I feel like they'll just figure it out. It's like one of those things where it's like, I don't even have a game in mind, but we can figure it out. Let's look around. And then suddenly this becomes that and that becomes this. And we've created this new game, and they can make up games and tell you rules on a whim, on the fly. And I've watched it so many times, and like, for me, I want to be able to get back to that point where I can be that free, that explorative, that excited to unlock any and everything. And I think that is a remarkable gift that over time we've lost. And how is it that we can get back to that childlike approach to life that ultimately reconnects us back to our creativity? And I don't know that if it is at all possible, because again, life is happening all around us. Unfortunately, we can't get to the point, or I don't know that we can ever, as adult, get back to a point where we just live carefree, because we still have responsibilities, we still have expectations, and we still have to exist in a world that we know has its challenges. And I know that's a lot for me to ask you, to forget that those challenges exist, and forget that the responsibility that life brings, especially now. But maybe that's why I'm intentional about starting off these conversations with an exercise in mindfulness, in hopes that I can create a space where you can feel, even if for a split second, carefree and responsibility free, and you could just be a little kid, just seeing an Amazon box show up at your door that turns into a spaceship that flies you out into the galaxies, and you come back and you land on a rainbow, and then that spaceship turns into a unicorn that has wings, and now you're flying through the sky, and you land and into a garden of flowers, and you run in, and the butterflies go, and like all these things. It's like, and this is just, it just comes so easy to children. And I feel like sometimes it's okay to tap back into that childlike version of you, even if maybe creativity doesn't come from it, but at least a smile does. And I feel like if you smile, then you're experiencing emotion, and emotions and feelings are a huge part of creativity. And how easy it is, the easier it gets for you to tap into your feelings and your emotion, the easier it gets for you to tap into your creativity. And that's all I want from you. Like, that's all I want for myself. I just, that's all I want for this space that we've created. I could go all day, but I had fun. I had fun just being around the kids, and then seeing them just create moments out of thin air, be creative on a whim. It's fascinating, rejuvenating. I'm gonna end this with the way we started. It's, I can be created in the present, but the future can never change me. What am I? I can be created in the present, but the future can never change me. I am history. I am history. As always, it's a pleasure. Go create. Go be a child again. The next time you're thinking about it, don't think about what could go wrong or if this could fail. Just do it just because. I will leave you how I always leave you. Go be great.